welcome back to the next class. So in this class we are going to discuss about the low level language and the high level language. Basically in the last classes we have discussed that computer can understand only the machine language, but we people write the code in the form of C language, Java language, Python language. But how this computer can understand these programming languages means the computer need to convert all the programming languages into the machine readable format. So to convert this machine readable format, we have the compiler. Compiler will convert the programming language into the binary language, that is zeros and ones, in which the computer can understand. After compiler converts the program, the computer will give you some result for the program what you are writing. This is the process what will happen. Now we are going to discuss about the levels of programming languages. So there are two levels in the programming language. The first one is the low level language and the high level language. So in this session we are going to discuss what is low level and what is high level, what are the advantages and drawbacks of low level language and the high level language. So let us continue with the session. So now the low level language is again classified into two types. First one is a machine language and the second one is a assembly language. Coming to the machine language. So these languages are also used for writing the programs only. Just like how we are writing the programs in the C language or Java language. In the same manner, we can write the programs or we can write the application or we can write the code in the machine language and the assembly language. Here, whenever we are writing the machine, this machine language is very close to the hardware. That means if we want to write the code in the machine language, we need to be very clear. We need to have a very clear knowledge about the architecture of the system. That means if we consider one CPU, CPU1 is there and there is another CPU, CPU2. The architecture of both these systems are entirely different. That means some compatibilities will be there between the CPU1 and CPU2. So if you understand the architecture of the CPU1, you can write the code in the machine language. And also if you know the architecture of CPU2, you can write the machine code for this CPU. So every CPU architecture will be different. In the same manner, for every CPU architecture, the machine code will be different. So CPU is responsible for executing any type of task. The machine language is nothing but it will be written in the form of zeros and ones. That means whatever that code we are writing or whatever the data we are passing to the CPU, we need to write in the form of like this. Okay, in this format only we are able to write the data in a machine language. Let us suppose that this is the memory where the data is being stored or where the data gets executed. So here if we write like this, this data will be forwarded to the CPU. CPU will complete the task and again it will forward the result in the same binary language only. So this is the machine language. Okay. So let us consider the message called hi. If I want to execute this hi message, I want to write hi in a machine language. Let us suppose that this is the 8-bit digit. So this is 1 byte. I am writing hi code in this manner. Let us assume. Let us not suppose that hi means this binary digits only. Okay. Let us assume that hi means 1100 And if you don't know the word, is it possible to tell what the word is? No, it is difficult. So machine language is nothing but the code we write in the form of zeros and ones. Advantages of low level language are no need to convert into binary language. So what is the reason means already the machine language is nothing but writing the code in the form of a binary language. So again no need to convert the zeros and ones into machine language, and this is one of the advantage. And the next one is fast execution. So the reason for fast execution is as it is written directly in the zeros and ones, the CPU can understand binary language and we can get the response in a faster manner. Coming to the drawbacks, the first drawback is not understandable by humans. So the machine language is in the form of zeros and ones. So the humans cannot understand easily the machine language. The next one is system dependent. Previously we have said that if it is a CPU, the architecture will be different. And if it is another CPU, the architecture will be different. That means basing on the architecture of the system or basing on the architecture of the CPU, the machine code will be changes. So that is one of the drawback. The next one is if the after writing the machine code, if we find or if the humans find any mistake in that, it is very hard to debug. Debug is nothing but finding the error and rectifying the error. Okay. So these are the advantages and drawbacks of low level language. So in order to eliminate this drawback, the assembly language was being introduced. So now coming to the assembly language. In the assembly language, the programmer going to use the code in the form of mnemonic codes. What it is called? Mnemonic codes. So what is mnemonic codes means? In the assembly language, we don't write the code in the form of the binary language, but in place of binary language we will, for example, if you want to do 1 plus 2 in the machine language, we have to write some 3 bits of 1, and for plus operation again we need to write some bits, and for 2 operation again we need to write some bits. So this is how we are going to do the addition operation in the machine language. But in the assembly language, you are going to use the mnemonic codes. So mnemonic code for this is add 1, 2. If you want to do the subtraction and subtraction, if you want to move the 5 from one place to the another place, you will provide with the word called MOV. So in this manner, somewhat English words were provided in the assembly language. So with the use of these assembly languages, the humans can find somewhat better to use or to write the coding to develop some softwares or to develop some applications. Again, whenever we are using this assembly language, the assembly language will be developed basing on the again architecture. That means assembly language architecture of system. Okay, that means this assembly language is also dependent. Dependent on what? Dependent on architecture of the system. So this assembly language is dependent on the architecture of the system. That means whatever the code we write in the assembly language, it will not be executed by any type of system or any type of CPU. Now, after writing the mnemonic codes, we will write mnemonic codes. Assembly language will be written in the form of mnemonic codes. Now, these mnemonic codes, again, if the CPU wants to execute these mnemonic codes, it need to have the machine code only. It need to convert the mnemonic codes need to be converted into the machine code. Then who is going to convert the mnemonic codes into the machine code? So here, in order to convert this, we are using the assembler. So assembler is responsible for converting mnemonic code into the machine code. But here, one of the problem is the machine code need to be converted. That means it will not be directly executed by the CPU. It is not directly executed by the CPU. That means it gives a somewhat less response time than machine language. Assembly language will give somewhat less responsive time than machine language. Why? Because machine language is used to directly executed by the, that means machine language is directly written in the form of machine code. So this machine code will be executed by the CPU, and within the span of 1 second it is going to display the output. But now, whenever you are using the assembly language, you are going to write the code in the form of mnemonic codes, and these mnemonic codes need to be converted into the machine code. So, in order to convert into the machine code, we need to have the assembler. So, this conversion takes somewhat process. So that's why it is its response time is slower than the machine language. Now coming to the advantages and drawbacks. Advantages is humans can understand the mnemonic codes easily, somewhat better than the machine language. Now what are the drawbacks? It is not directly executed by the CPU. Assembly language programs are not directly executed by the CPU. That means it is giving less response time when compared to the machine language. So, in order to eliminate these drawbacks in the assembly language, we have introduced with the high level languages. So, high level language are easily understandable by the humans. That means whatever the code we write, that is in a pure English language. So the examples of high level languages are C, C++, Java and COBOL, Fortran, and all these are the examples of high level languages. These are very close to the humans. That means the code what we are writing in these languages, those will be easily understandable by the humans. So here one more point is humans need not worry about the CPU and what is the register and what is the architecture, and all the human need not worry about it. So whatever he thinks, he can apply it in a logical manner. That means if he wants to add 1 plus 2, he cannot add this add function or sub function and all. Simply he can use the mathematical notations. So whatever he feels, whatever he wants to write, he can execute in this manner. And moreover, humans are not bothered about these types of concepts. But humans need to understand, or humans need to write with a concept called constants, variables, functions, loops. By using these concepts, these high level languages will write the code. So these high level languages are very easy to understand, easy to maintain, easy to debug. Debug is nothing but finding out the error and rectifying it in the program. Now, what are the drawbacks of high level language? So, it is slower. It is very slower than low level language. So, it is very slower. Why? Because in order to we write the program in the form of humans readable format. Now the human readable format need to be converted again in the form of the machine code. So whatever the language we write, whether it can be assembly language or whether it can be low level language, the computer can understand only the machine code. So even though if we are writing the high level language that is easily understandable by the humans, we need to convert this human readable format into the machine readable format. So who will convert this human format into machine format? Simply this human format is also called as a high level language format to the machine format. Who will convert means the programs. For conversion also we have the programs. So compiler or interpreter. So compiler is also a program and interpreter is also a program. Compiler is nothing but whatever the code we write, all the program will be executed at last of the program. But interpreter is nothing but it will execute line by line. After, for example, if you write a statement, after writing the correct statement only, it will enter you to go for the next line. For example, if you return the line correct, it will enter. If you return this line also correct, it will enter. But let us assume that you have a return here some error. There is an error. The interpreter program will not allow you to go for the next line. That means interpreter will convert the code in the form of line by line. But compiler will convert at last. That means at the ending of the program. Thank you for watching the session.